All right, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of The Uncarved Self. It's been forever. I know that. I realize that. I apologize for that. I lost my creative spark for a while, but I feel it coming back. I feel compelled to make a video. This is going to be a very self-to podcast. I'm just going to kind of ramble for a little bit. I hope you guys don't mind. I have some loose notes here in my journal that I spent the morning kind of cultivating what I want to talk about. I want to jump right into it. So the first topic, we have two topics today. The first one is keeping the inside of your cup clean. Now, what do I mean by the inside of your cup? Well, think of it as your heart, your intentions, your emotions, how you perceive the world, thoughts, all this internal stuff that often goes unseen, right? So the problem is we're a lot more concerned with the outside of our cup than the inside, right? We're concerned with how we're perceived. We're concerned with our image, what other people are going to think of us, ego, blah, 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 blah. We will come across our dirty cup and our first instinct is to clean the outside of it, the appearance, rather than scrub the inside. I'm here to tell you that focusing on the inside of the cup will take care of the outside. So what I really want to stress is that this is an everyday thing, this cleaning of our cup. It's not a one-time show up once and then we're good, right? You have to show up, you have to set an intention every single day, and you have to stay out of your own way to let these results speak for themselves, right? That's one of the biggest things that I think a lot of us struggle with, myself included. Can we stay out of our own way and let the processes work on us, right? So show up every single day and we're cleaning our cup. We're sweeping the floor of our ego. That's Ryan Holiday. Ego is the Enemy. Great book. He's an awesome author. Can we show up every day? Can we sweep the floor of our ego? Because, you miss a day, you miss 2 days, whatever. The floor is not that dirty. But if you miss a week, a month, 3 months, a year, all of a sudden you look in your floor. You could almost say the inside of your cup, the floor, whatever, that's your soul. It's filthy when you have neglected to clean it for however long. You're going to find it dirty. Okay, so that's when these things like ego, pride, over-reliance on self-image, comparison, these things accumulate like dust, and all of a sudden it's dirty. We stop checking our motives, we lose sight of our why, and then all of a sudden we find ourselves led by flesh rather than spirit. We stop journaling, reflecting, praying, serving, all these things. These are the actual actions that will clean the inside of our cup or sweep our floor. When we lose sight of these actions, we find ourselves dirty, filthy, doing things for the wrong reason, and we need to stop, take a second, and revert back to the things that got us where we are today. So this ego, that when we don't clean, this ego builds up like a residue. There's more pride, there's more comparison, more reliance on self-image, vanity. These things accumulate like dust. We've got to make sure we sweep the floor, clean the inside of your cup. So when we don't, we confuse who we are with how we look. How we look, that is our image. That is our outward perception. That's how we want to be perceived by others. That's how others perceive us, rather than our identity, which is our own true self. We are more concerned with our image than our identity, and that is rooted in ego. We're more concerned with how we're perceived rather than what is truth within us, right? That's rooted in ego. That's rooted in the need for acceptance, self-image, things of that nature. And this progress, this is a slow drip, slow burn. This is kind of like the invisible progress you see when you're working towards something, like dieting, exercising, whatever. You can't really, that's invisible progress. You can't really see it as it happens. This is the same thing. This is invisible progress in the other direction. You don't really see it happening until all of a sudden you look down and your floor is filthy. Okay, so that is the main point I wanted to drive home in this first part is clean the inside of your cup, sweep your floor, and don't be so rooted in the ego and live truer to yourself. The next part I want to talk about is, and this kind of ties into cleaning the inside of your cup, but I want to talk about how your subconscious is programmable. And I saw this, it's actually kind of funny, I saw this on Instagram Reels, and it really just resonated with me. Some guy on the street gets stopped for like a street interview, and the interviewer asks him, like, what's a message you have for the kids? And this is only a snippet of what he said, but I think it really resonated with me. It really just hit home. So he says, how you think creates how you feel becomes an emotion becomes a vibration becomes a magnet that attracts things to you, also away from you. I think that is so unbelievably true, and that coincides with a lot of the things I've read, I've ingested over this past year, 2 years, whatever. And I want to start with Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. He calls it auto-suggestion. And that term can be defined as the process of deliberately influencing your subconscious mind through repeated thoughts, statements, and emotions. Now, that's almost verbatim what the guy on the street is talking about. And also, we've got Dr. Joe Dispenza. What's his book called? Becoming Supernatural. Great read. It ties in the mystical and the scientific. Love it. And this is where I get fired up, because that book, Joe Dispenza's book, and Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, written almost 100 years apart, yet there's these overlapping principles that exist, and that speaks to the truth and the validity of these principles. And people want to deny them, but they're in everyday life. They exist in nature, and just you just take the time to observe, you will find them. So anyway, Dr. Joe Dispenza, he has this thinking feeling loop. How you think creates how you feel influences how you think. And it's this self-fulfilling prophecy of emotion, right? Thinking, feeling, thinking just reinforces itself, builds on itself until it becomes truth. So your subconscious it's incapable of discerning truth from fiction. Whatever you tell it, it will interpret over time as truth. If you say, I'm a failure, I don't want to do this, I can't do that, over time, your subconscious will believe you, and it's been cemented in reality. Conversely, if you tell you're a prolific thinker, you're a great whatever, blah, 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 it will interpret that as truth, and you will work towards that. So these overlapping principles, these two books, Think and Grow Rich and Becoming Supernatural, I love it. I wrote a couple of these down that I just noticed through my reading of both of them. Thoughts influence emotional states. Absolutely. Repetition strengthens mental patterns. Of course, that's scripture, that's prayer, that's affirmations. You don't have to be religious for these principles to exist. You can write affirmations daily and just tattoo them in your subconscious, and it will eventually interpret them as truth. Emotions amplify the effect of thoughts. Oh my God, that's so true. That's Joe Dispenza. Think, feel, think. Truth. Your habitual mental state influences your actions. What's your default state? Absolutely. And then last but not least, lasting change starts internally before it appears externally. You must keep the inside of your cup clean, and that will in turn clean the outside. Keeping your heart, intentions, emotions clean, that will take care of your external state, your outward projection. That takes care of itself. You can't do it the other way around. You can't forge your external in hopes that it takes care of the internal. That's just not how it works. So one last thing, I've said that your subconscious it's very easily programmed. It can be taken over. So I want to stress that we should be so very careful and intentional with how we talk to ourselves. That internal self-talk is direct programming stimuli into your subconscious, and it will interpret whatever you say to it as truth. Over time, it will become truth to yourself. So if you're gonna fill your brain, your subconscious with negative self-talk, then it's a long, dark road, my friend. However, if you fill it with positive, uplifting self-talk, the road's going to be just as long, but it might be a little bit brighter. So I'll leave you with that. Thanks for tuning in, and hopefully we'll have some more episodes for you guys in the future. Thank you. Peace.